Rumi has this quote. He says, "There is a field beyond right and wrong. I will meet you there." I think that the psalmist describes that field in Psalm 85. It's a field where salvation lives. The psalmist personifies salvation. I don't know if you followed it in the poetry, but he or she personifies salvation as a place where love and faithfulness meet, where righteousness and peace face one another head on. I found a really clever rabbinical interpretation, which means that when the rabbis quote Psalm 85, they do so in context of the creation story. They talk about it at the birth of something, in other words. So here's what they say. They say, when the Holy One was about to create humanity, the angels formed themselves into groups and they took sides. Some of them said, "Let humanity be created." And some said, "Let them not be created." Thus it is written, love and truth fought together. Righteousness and peace combated each other. Love said, "Let humanity be created because they will perform acts of love." And truth said, "Let humanity not be created because all of them will live for falsehood." Righteousness said, "Let humanity be created because they will do righteous deeds." And peace said, "Let humanity not be created because they will live in strife." And so then, what did the Holy One do? While the angels were arguing with one another, the Holy One turned around and created humanity and then said, "What are you arguing about?" Birth wins out. Life is born. This is the space. That's the field where I imagine Mary and Elizabeth met. A space beyond right and wrong. A space where they could face each other. They lay their cards on the table, be honest about the ways that they were changing, talk about the possibilities with which they were pregnant. We don't have those kind of meetings with just anyone, right? When we lay our cards on the table, when we face ourselves, when we look at the raw material of our lives, we look for a place that has love and trust and faithfulness and peace. We look for a safe place. So Mary and Elizabeth, pregnant with possibility. Two women unsure of what they're getting into. Two women probably with backaches and swollen feet. Two women with children who twist and turn and kick into their bellies. Two women with children who cause them to crave odd food, to gain weight. Children who exhaust them before the child's even born. Don't get me wrong. Childbirth is astonishing. It's epic. My sister is 8 months pregnant right now with her third child. This time, the placenta is in the front, she tells me. And so the child actually feels like an alien to her. Every time she changes posture, the child stamps on her nerves. Imagine a child stamping on your nerves before birth. The child, because of the position, gives her restless legs. Imagine being restless before the kid's even born. Another friend of mine's daughter is having a baby any day now. And so when women are this close to giving birth, they're miserable. I mean, don't get me wrong, not emotionally, right? They're excited and scared all together, right? And ready. But physically, with fear of being taken out back and getting the crap kicked out of me, I'm just going to make some note of observations, all right? In the last couple weeks of pregnancy, a pregnant woman is so awkward. Her face gains that extra amount of pudginess where you actually can tell she's really ready, right? Her butt gains weight in a way that it didn't before in the pregnancy, right? She waddles, everybody, right? You can kick the crap out of me later if you want. These are things we don't normally talk about, right? So thank God for safe places where women can get together and talk about what's actually happening to them when they're pregnant, or for the rest of us to have safe places where we can talk about what's actually happening to us. What is the whole truth of us? A safe place where we can experience what I think the psalmist meant by salvation. Now, theologically, we have filled that word with a lot of meaning, right? We're saved from sin, we're saved from death, we're saved from hell. But to save something also means simply to keep it, to store it, to hold it, to treasure it, to treasure something so much that you hold on to it. I save it. When the psalmist cries out for salvation, what is it that he or she really wants? Because the beginning of the psalm talks about the good old days when the people felt God's love and favor. But now, God seems angry. And so that doesn't seem to me that they're looking to be saved from sin or death or hell. That sounds to me like they want to be back in relationship with God. They want to be held and treasured again. Held. Perhaps with love on one side, reminding us that we have great capacity to love. Kept, or maybe even corrected a little bit, on the other side by faithfulness, reminding us that we sometimes really blow it. Held, treasured maybe, by righteousness staring us down, daring us to act rightly to our neighbor. Maybe peace creeps in from behind us, nudging us when we choose strife instead of peace. Held in a field, beyond the arguments of right and wrong. Held, surrounded, kept by love, kept by faithfulness and righteousness and peace. Surrounded by God's safety net, pregnant with possibility. Kept and treasured in the womb of God's salvation. If we knew ourselves to be kept in the womb of God's salvation, would we be more open about the ways in which we are changing? Let me ask, if we knew that we were safe, would we talk about the things that are growing in us? Babies were growing in Elizabeth and Mary. But Advent is about seeing the gifts and the resources and the relationships and the opportunities in our lives as pregnant possibility. Could we enter Advent looking for the possibility of something that seems alien? Or are we just scared of what we don't know? What if this Advent we let ourselves have restless legs and let those restless legs lead us to what we're looking for instead of trying to squelch the restlessness? Do we dare to wonder if that thing that is stamping on our nerves might be pregnant with possibility? Or are we just angry at things that stamp on our nerves? When we look in the proverbial mirror and we begin to see someone that we don't recognize, do we think that we've done something wrong, or might we try to imagine that it might be time for labor? Almost time for labor. Oh my, you mean the hard work hasn't even begun? So now we can see why it was important for Elizabeth and Mary to find each other in that safe space, surrounded by love and faithfulness and righteousness and peace. When we're walking toward Bethlehem, we need a hand. And so I see Mary and Elizabeth holding hands, daring to believe, yes, we do have tremendous capacity to love. We really can make things right in the world. I also see Mary and Elizabeth holding hands, realizing that they're going to blow it sometimes. That they're going to choose strife over peace sometimes too. They realize that they are pregnant with possibility. I hope we realize that too. Amen. I would like